Welcome back to some professional StarCraft 2, the ESL Open Cup Finals. European edition, Big Gabe weekly. He couldn't make it this week. Very generous of him to allow others to potentially win his tournament. But also from Germany, D. Mauer in the top right. It's Showtime. The stats of Europe, you don't get, walls are not known for being, if you're named after a wall, or you're called, even better, the wall, you're not a particularly aggressive player. Just in general, just safe macro builds. A lot of people don't know Protoss for that, but Showtime is here to show it. And now, of course, in the bottom left, the young Frenchman. The micro skills of the best in the macro that can compete with anyone. He's really graduated into being a full-fledged Terran instead of just a hyper-aggressive, mildly cheesy player, and he's found a lot of success in the last couple years, especially now that many things are online. Of course, I'm talking about the creme de la Clem. What was that, Jim? Terran versus Protoss, which is almost every Terran's, or many Terran's, at least mentally weakest matchup. What do I mean by that? So many Terrans, it really does feel like they're riding a lot on the early game. You gotta get the damage done, you gotta kill the probes, and if you fail to do so, you're just kind of set yourself up for either an ill-fated timing or you're stuck in your base until Protoss has a potential multi-flavored splash damage deathmaul. Clem is one of those who subscribes to that idea as well. Just like you should subscribe and even like this video. Subscribe this video makes complete sense. So check that out. Just look around. Just like this probe. Now, first it's like, oh my god, Showtime, are you going to proc... No. Showtime is playing almost painfully standard. He's getting a sentry. Twilight Council behind, likely for Blink. The sentry gives some early scouting and a potential follow-up with the Blink. This is about as safe as you can play against a Clem who is embracing the full macro Terran mindset. It's almost obscene how many command centers Terrans have been making nowadays. Clem built a reactor barracks, so I do like to see this in Game 1 especially. Might as well give it a shot, right? Instead of trying to do some sort of semi-all-in timing or relying so much on early game pressure, you can try to compete with the Protoss. A lot of Protoss will play kind of middle of the road like this. And if you get away with it, the 3cc not only allows you to compete, but surpass the economy of Zergs and Protoss alike. And of course Terrans, but Terrans already were going 3cc in TVT, so it seems like every matchup is 3cc. At this point, if there was to be another iteration on how much of the game we could cut out, like with Legacy of the Void, we started with 12 workers instead of 6, and a lot of people won't be able to cheese anymore. And I think most of your latter experiences and most of your, let's be honest, more likely spectating experience,
you can see that statement is not true.
It almost feels like 3cc's is when the game starts for Terran. We're not quite there yet. There's still plenty of games, but it's approaching 50 to 60%. Approaching 50 to 60% of games with 3cc's. Maybe more. It depends on the player, but all the top Terrans are doing it, and you should too. You know what? Actually, 3cc for your average diamond player. 1, you were already banking money. 2, you're probably going to die when you get supply blocked building your 3rd CC, not realizing you still need to build supply depots. But this is an angry coach. This is the ESL Pro Tour. And 5 minutes in, our very first... Well, that's what happened to Big Gabe. He died to an adept. And then he just walked away from the computer. And, I don't know, went on a cruise or something all by himself because he takes up... He actually is... You remember that Suez Canal? Well, let's hope Big Gabe doesn't take a cruise through there. He may never use it again. I didn't know how to really bring it all together, all the references, but I'm the index of casters, alright? Complicated, hard to read or understand, but eventually, once you get around to figuring out how it works, still a little annoying to use, but hey, who else is casting Showtime versus Clem? Hey, I mean, you know, these are all not great You're here now, so we're already 6 minutes into the game. No point in leaving. Stim, +1. Almost done. As Clem takes his third, Showtime has realized the situation ever since he sent in the hallucinated Phoenix. And he's just been sitting back. The gateway explosion. He's at 60 workers. You'll see this. Now Protoss players can write this down. At 60 probes, this is usually... At 50 probes, you usually go to 6 gates. But at 60 probes, you go all the way up to 8. It really depends on whether you feel threatened early. Like, if you are up against a 2-base push, you might need those gateways more quickly. Whereas, obviously, if your opponent goes for 3 command centers, not as quick. Oh, the Stalker's taking a wrong turn. Right into the maw of the Terran. A couple gunned down before things start. Charge isn't quite done yet. 10 seconds on the clock, and those 10 seconds are critical right here. Clem able to get a little bit of damage done. There really aren't that many zealots. The gateways are finally kicking in. The warp gate's opening up. Scanning and taking down the observer. Force fields might be able to buy the time. Charge is done. Upgrades are not yet there. Force field looking okay. Clem picks up, drops back behind. Upgrades finishing across the board. But the timings are so thin with these players. You see Clem, the exact moment he has the medevacs and he has the +1, he's moving out, which was almost quick enough to catch Showtime before his gateways kicked in. But Showtime waited until those 60 probes, which was just enough to make sure that he could get the gateways up in time to defend a push like this. So far, an attack and a parry from Showtime, and I think we'll see that for a while yet, until Showtime has a 4th base more comfortably, if he ever gets there, because Clem is working both sides of it. This is what he does so well, tearing apart his opponents. But on the left side, the force field's looking good, but Widowmine's going to get involved. Not finding big hits, picks up and drops back. Meanwhile, Showtime down in army supply. Clem has actually outstripped him in the worker count. Showtime relying almost entirely on gateway units, especially as Storm is in production. Enough charge lots to force back the army. No, the +2 upgrades will start. For Clem here, Showtime feels so threatened. He was unable to add any upgrades. He's just now thinking about a 4th Nexus. Combining all his forces together, he's able to snipe a couple medevacs, and without the medevacs, Clem doesn't have nearly as much mobility. Another deflection here from Showtime, but the big issue is Clem's getting a 4th, he's getting his upgrades, he's keeping the pressure on, he's got a good economy, but Storm is done. The next level of attack. Immediate pickup. Scan, sees there's no observer. Showtime. This was literally just to move. The only time you move faster is with the boost. He drops out immediately, which is a nice little pre-spread here. Showtime tries to rotate back. You'd think he'd be able to in time, but Clem moves so quick. He's on top of it right now. Guardian Shield gonna help out a little bit, but the Storm Prism is incredibly dangerous. There is an observer involved, looking potentially for more. Uses the blink to dodge out. So far, Showtime holding the line. Clem not giving him any space to breathe, but right now, Showtime is holding him at bay. A robo-bay, indeed. Another scan, looking for observers. Clem, even a couple seconds for Clem, he'll work it. An edge that he can cut through. The charge, lots coming through. A bit of a choke point, caught between a rock and a hard place. Good Widowmine drop. Or Widowmine hit, rather, not drop. At some point they were dropped. Observers, despite how many observers have been killed? 2 observers. He's still got 3 on the map. He keeps bringing more in. A Widowmine drop. Oh, there you go. He managed to get 1 probes, which is why it didn't show up on the little counter. But he's distracted Showtime for a split second, which means Clem comes back in from the right. If Showtime makes 1, oh, there goes the Prism, but he loses a lot of Marines for it. Another army. Where did these come from? Clem, again. Is there enough energy for Storm? Yes! He drops it down. Showtime able to hold the line, but there's a drop in the main. Recall isn't on cooldown, I don't think. He can recall. A recall to the main. Oh, the Blink Stalkers aren't going to be nearly enough. The charge lots underneath. Clem on the left. Clem on the right. Widowmine's at the back as well. He's about to finish the +2 attack. Another drop in the main. The recall coming out, but Showtime's starting to crumble. Clem looking for any point of weakness, and he's finally finding it. The Widowmine's opened up the opportunity on the map to have this sort of maneuverability. Dropping out at the 4th, on top of the Templar. The storms are weathered, and the probes are vulnerable. Charge Lot's on the chase. The storms nearly killed the medevacs. Clem coming back to the left. Showtime still maintaining 64 probes. He's got Colossi in production. He's surprisingly intact despite Clem's efforts. They don't call him the Wall for nothing. The Widowmines, though, the observer count dwindling as Showtime starts to add in more complicated robo units. Are there storms? There should be a couple storms here. He feedbacks the medevacs. An interesting choice. He might not have had quite enough storm shield battery overcharge. Gonna keep the Immortals intact during all this. That Immortal tanking so much damage, but he needs detection right now. The observer coming back just barely in time to clear out these mines. Oh, you gotta be careful. Almost loses the observer to that, but the Archon tanks at Showtime still going. Oh, and Clem. I don't know how Showtime... He's managed this perfectly. Okay, not perfectly. But he's weathered the blows. The rapid-fire, multi-pronged attacks of Clem, who continually denies vision and exploits any sort of opportunity. Showtime has not given him enough to crack this open. Those are great Widowmine hits, but the Colossus are a new part of this battle. The Liberators as well, though. There's not that much anti-air. Showtime blinks into the center. The Colossi holding the middle of the line, but even medevacs being repaired. The boys have been pulled, and Clem closes the distance. Knocks down the Colossi. And with this, the tenuous hold that Showtime had crumbles. Clem, a masterclass in Terran. The Terran you dream you could be, but really back at home. Let's not pretend you're a cure. But Clem, a barrage of attacks for 5, 6, 7 minutes straight, and eventually Showtime, despite being prepared, despite seeming to have enough, he never had enough to counterattack, and that's how you slow down a Terran like that. You saw Clem did it as well. They both kind of built up for 5 minutes and then just started sending it. Clem got the Widowmine drop. The Widowmine drop, when Clem finally, he had kept map control for so long, he can kind of send out whatever, as long as he has enough on the ground to keep Showtime from moving out. Jimmy, can we get into the game? I have it on good authority. They're all going to be at least this exciting. I saw Clem versus Showtime, I'm like, this is either going to be incredibly one-sided for reasons that I don't know, but sometimes that happens, or there's no middle ground on these guys. You're not going to have a mediocre series. You're going to have a terrible or a great one. One where either Clem decides to proxy Rex and fail every game, or where Showtime is going to try to cheese and fail. But both players, 3 CC versus effectively 3 Nexus. Opening it up in this best of 5 with the macro duel. And it wasn't enough. That is why Protoss sometimes try to get more aggressive with Blink Stalkers. Because if you do let especially Clem, who's essentially if Beyond and Maru had a French baby, then, just imagine all that. Then there you go. You got Clem. You can tell he doesn't want to build the Liberators. He doesn't even really want to build the mines. He wants to build Marines, Marauders, and Medevacs. But begrudgingly on occasion, he will add those units in, if only to make his Marines, Marauders, and Medevacs more effective. And I gotta say, an extra achievement unlocked for Clem. Why? He repaired his it wasn't that huge a factor, but he actually pulled the boys to repair his medevacs. Not to tank Colossus damage, which is not a great idea in the first place, but he actually repaired his When do you see that? After 11 years, finally, someone repairing medevacs like it's an important thing to do. The thing is, Clem had so many medevacs, he actually didn't really... It wasn't that big a deal. But why? Why not? He had 80 SCVs at the end. He just kept building them. It's a reflex when you're microing that much. So... Are we just... There is a non-zero chance we do the same build 3 to 5 games in a row, by the way, with these guys. For both of these guys, like the ESL Pro Tour Open Cups, this is the finals. It means a minimum of $100 and double that to the winner here. But it's not like the highest... This is essentially a pretty high-stakes ladder game for them. They've all both played each other so much. They're both competitors at maybe Showtime a little less, but they're both competitors on those global stage tournaments. So when you get these kind of players who are at that level, sometimes you kind of just see build order practice. And with that said, Reactor, 3 Rex, Sentry, Twilight Council, Deja Vu, I've just seen these builds before. And now we'll get a 3rd, as long as it's safe to expand. I think that was Showtime. Showtime, great English singing voice. Sehr gut. Yeah, and Clem is working up. Here we go again. And we will continue. There's the hallucinated Phoenix, which will scout the 3rd CC, which will probably trigger a 3rd Nexus. Okay. Yeah, I thought it might be a slow series based on the start, but really it's just building up. Like, you gotta get the strength. You gotta build up enough strength to punch harder. I gotta say, that was... Showtime didn't do anything wrong in that's the most beautiful StarCraft, is when we're actually playing a strategy game. Showtime didn't do anything wrong. He just didn't do enough right. And that was the issue. Clem just was too fast in too many places with too many units. And literally Showtime, he was always there, but maybe without quite enough. Okay, so Showtime kind of delaying a 3rd. Is he going to warp in another round first, or is he going to get the 3rd? So this is a bit of a split here. He's warping in more Stalkers before getting his 3rd. Actually, I'm not sure if he did this last game, but... Oh, no. This is more aggression. So this is Showtime mixing it up. He's not going to just try to go essentially 5 minutes no rush with Clem. Though, technically, this is 5 minutes. Okay, 7 minutes. Whatever number. He's not going to play defensive. He's going to get much more in his face. He's invested a lot more in Stalkers early, and the key here is the Prism. Costly on the minerals, over half a Nexus of minerals to get the Prism. But infinitely more options to pressure your opponent than just playing Stalkers on their own. Showtime going to try to keep Clem busy for as long as possible, and maybe just try to outright kill him. But as I say it, he's looking... Oh, blinks into the main. Are there sentries in there? There are, but he's not able to get them. If he had gotten them to the ramp, that could have been devastating. Unfortunately, Clem is kind of trapped in a prison of his own design here. The starport itself is vulnerable. Reactor's down for the... He just kills the starport. Clem thought we were having a gentleman's macro game, and, well, unfortunately, Stim does finish, which means Showtime's going to have to contend with that. But with that no medevacs, that's permanent damage. Widowmine's coming out. The Stalker count has grown so quickly. Widowmine's down. Is there enough for a force field? Not quite yet. The Guardian Shield helping out. Though, the SCVs tank enough damage that this is getting a bit dicey. The boys will be pulled from the natural. The bio count is thinning out. Showtime whittling down Clem significantly. But 3 CCs means he has to keep up the pressure right now. Showtime just started a 3rd. Like, there is very much an opportunity to outright kill Clem right now. He was obviously not prepared for this. No bunker in the main. He wasn't really expecting Showtime to commit so significantly. The factory, he hasn't even started... Oh, he has a starport at the natural. Okay, but the factory itself dies. Clem's forced to pull the boys again. Showtime working both angles here, giving Clem a taste of his own particularly aggressive medicine. So far, not finding deadly damage, but it's one bad positioning away. It's one bad blink from either winning the game for Showtime or turning it all around. Like, if Showtime ends up blinking into the bio army in a good spot, well, it all just ends. and then Clem can likely go across the map. But if Clem gets whittled down or he commits to a stim in the wrong spot, so this scan is huge. Clem investing what could be a valuable mule in a scan. The Nexus, that was the perfect scan. I'm not saying he timed it perfectly, he just happened to find the energy there, but he saw exactly when the Nexus finished. So that tells him all he needs to know. Like Clem, if he deals with this, there's not that much economy behind, so fight, but this isn't all in either. Like, taking good fights, using the high ground as best you can, but he has 3 CC, so Clem's building more SCVs. He can still compete economically. You see the income here. You can tell the boys may have been pulled at one point, or 2, or 3. But Clem is not getting overly aggressive. He's not chasing down the ramp because he doesn't need to, because Showtime doesn't have the sort of economy that's going to be ending the game whenever he feels like. Like, this is actually a very big investment from Showtime to... Oh, no! Wait, did the Stalkers kill that? I think it was a little bit weird. I think a projectile hit at the end. It looked a little weird. Charge is on the way, +1. Remember, Clem already has the +1. He's got stim. A big glaring issue is combat shields. Colossi are a real danger. So despite our best efforts, Showtime's best efforts, once again, these players so evenly matched. Clem able to hold the line. And both these games have really felt like you would imagine. Showtime, a little bit of the underdog, but a strong defensive player who always has something else to fall back on. Whereas Clem relying on his immaculate control in order to both defend and attack. He's trying to outmaneuver... Wait, was that a recall? Oh my. Clem almost outmaneuvered the Stalkers with medevac boost, but that lack of recall could change the whole game. Clem has survived with a good unit. It looked like it might just end. But instead, I don't know. Showtime looking for something. The map is dark and full of Terrans, but not anymore. Some very vulnerable pylons. Shades of Artosis whisper in the deep. And oh no!
Who does that?
Depowering 5 of the gateways. Losing those potential warp-ins for quite a time. Another pylon. Well, obviously we'll spot this. And deja vu. Here we go again. Clem with multiple medevacs on both fronts. Decent upgrades and a solid economy behind it. Showtime forced to cut at 66 probes, and he didn't get there nearly as comfortably as last game. So, Clem had to recover. He has recovered. His income is... Oh, well. Clem losing a little bit here. Meanwhile, this is the kind of stuff... Oh, no. Oh, no. So many Terrans have felt this. This is exactly what Showtime didn't have last game. This is what he was missing. Something to keep Clem at home, one way or another. And now, Clem making mistakes. His army caught out. The Blink Stalkers can chase. Chasing the medevacs with units inside. Potential for extra disaster. Clem back at home dealing with the Prism. Loses 10 SCVs, and his attack is thwarted. Unfortunately, though, wait, is recall on cooldown? It still is. He's warping in some zealots. Clem, unwilling to give this position up. Looking for a 4th base. The scan will spot... He can't... Those medevacs are kind of bruised. It's a little risky here. The upgrades, +2, +1. Showtime holding for now. Showtime with the Prism in the back. There's a Viking on the way. He remembered it. Sometimes those Prisms get forgotten because there's so much going on, but Clem not one to miss things. Another army moving out, but the amount of time this bought. Showtime has his 4th halfway done. Clem has his 4th all the way done, which is better. He's got a planetary on the way. And Clem has managed to scrape his way from a desperate situation. Leads with the medevac with no units here. The bio army drops out. A few charge lots on top are going to help out. The rest of the bio on the right side. Showtime already maneuvering to defend. The drop in the main becoming more and more dangerous. The medevacs doing what they do best. Colossus knockdown. Medevacs in support. The rest of the army has to be split off, but Clem somehow tearing him apart again. Hallucinated Prism at the front. Wait, does a hallucinated Prism tank the scan? It knows it's a hallucination for now. Maybe he was trying to drag it in. I don't know exactly. He just pressed a button. Meanwhile, though, the charge lots get on top. Clem picks up and gets so many units out. Colossi get a few swipes. Showtime moving, rotating to deflect here. It looked like Clem, again, had an opportunity. What happened to the prism in the back? A prism has died, and there's no prism on the map right now, so that tells that story. It looks like the Viking got what it needed. A Ghost Academy on the way, but +2 attack is done for Showtime. Double medevac drop, rotating around to the natural, where Showtime has been pretty diligent about protecting his tech. By the way, I love this, except for right now, but overall I love this. How many Protoss do you see lose their forges in the edge of the main? Now, unfortunately, Clem has found an opportunity to depower this, but he's got all of his important tech at the natural, where ostensibly it's most defensible. It's so hard for Clem to get back here and actually make that an issue, but Disruptor! Center mass finds a decent connection. Clem able to turn it around. Showtime varying his options here, trying to keep Clem on his toes no matter how drugged up they might be. And Clem, that Disruptor, is something else he's going to have to contend with. Liberators, maybe. Ghosts, not great against the Ruptors. There are 4 Vikings at a time. Clem has 4 bases in full production, but Showtime's managed to make it nearly maxed out. The one thing we're missing here is Storm. He doesn't have Storm, but the Disruptor's a better option against Ghosts anyways. A lot better for zoning out things like Widow Mines and become a lot less of a threat. Those Widow Mines, not a huge part of the army anyways right now, especially with all the cannons holding position. Clem being forced back on the right, you know that means he's coming to the left, but of course there's already an observer there watching for exactly this, to scan spots that maybe not all of the army is being maneuvered to attack, but instead there's enough to defend. Showtime already warped in the Zealots. The drop at the back coming in. Looking for more. The medevac itself vulnerable, but targeting the cannon. Showtime has Stalkers, holding the line for now. Clem coming back in on the right side. Another Warp Prism. Boxed out. Factory being used. That tells the story about what Clem thinks of factory units. Showtime defends the back. Showtime defends the third. Showtime moving to defend the fourth now. Well, fourth slash third. Showtime is all over the board, and Clem is getting knocked off at 1 medevac. Knocked out of the sky, and Clem in full retreat. Showtime finally, I think, with recall off cooldown, with the upgrades finishing, with his economy solidified, it's Showtime's time to show Clem how liquid he can be. Okay, how flexible. Like water. Like water with a lot of splash. A tsunami of splash damage coming across the map. This is what every Terran tries to avoid. This moment. The one thing that isn't here is Storm. That's the piece of the puzzle. A planetary on the way, some SCVs were vulnerable for a moment. Showtime has a mostly robo-based army, so there are a lot of Vikings, but there's only one Colossus. It's mostly Disruptors that the damage is based on. Disruptors and well-upgraded gateway units. EMP thrown out, hits half the army, gonna soften it up. The Disruptors are the big threat. We're going to have to see how this goes. Clem scanning to the top right, looking for opportunities. Has a natural concave here on the low ground. Showtime boxing out, looking for Clem to make a mistake. He can potentially force the issue with the Ruptors, but you don't want to waste the cooldowns if you don't have to. He's waiting until he can really bully Clem out of the way. Potentially another shot. Clem not going to make that mistake easily. There's DTs on the way. Clem is on 5 bases. This isn't the end of the world. Good split. A minimal split, but manages to avoid the damage. Clem really wants to get in on this. The armies are maxed out. They're a bit unwieldy right now. The EMPs, the Disruptors are behind the lines. Clem finds a good opportunity for his Vikings, knocking down the Colossi before they can get involved. The Disruptors scrambling forward. Clem micros back with the speed zone, losing only 1 Ghost. The Colossus, Liberators getting involved, starting to zone things out in the demilitarized zone here in the center. But Showtime moves down the ramp, doesn't want to get caught between a rock and a hard place. The scan, Clem actually moving a little far out to defend. And remember, there is recall if things go sideways, though that could be dicey. Showtime dives on the planetary, zones with the Disruptors, finds a connection. Liberators on the top. At the back, finding more. Another Disruptor shot. Finds more connections, but Clem is starting to whittle down the army. Clem has reinforcements on the way. So does Showtime via the Warp Prism, but most of the Disruptors, if not all of them, are on cooldown. The Bio Army going to win the latter half of the fight. Liberators moving up. The Vikings need to deal with the Prism. They get it, but not before another set of Charge Law Warpins. Clem comes out of this battle with an advantage, and I think this is Showtime's first time seeing this base. So diving on that planetary may be a bit of a misstep I don't think he realized Clem had another base. A little bit greedy, but he gets away with it. Showtime really dived on the planetary, and he gets out. He withdraws with most of his important units. The Disruptor's intact, the Archons added in, a couple Liberators moving now that Clem has a little more space on the map, already preemptively sieging. He doesn't have Liberator range, in fact he doesn't have a Fusion Core. Another Command Center moving in. Archons, the big blue boys on the field here. The Ghosts, obviously a great counter. A Liberator from the left. Clem targets it down, interrupts. EMPs whittle down the Archons. Vikings on the deck. The Bio Army starting to move back. There's not enough EMP to remove the show. What a spoil. Wait, no, he leaned into it. He leaned into it. Showtime finding some good connections. Another one, the fadeaway shot, gonna box out for now. +3 attack is on the way for Clem, about to complete, but that attack upgrade doesn't matter when you have Disruptors as a threat. 164 supply across the board. Clem adding some more in. The Disruptor count is still quite high. There's not that much energy. Enhanced Shockwaves done for the Ghost. He's trying to bully forward, deal with the Liberators. The Charge Lot's getting involved. The Disruptors, quite a threat. Targets one, the other one looking to hit more Zealots. Another misfire from Showtime. He's out of Disruptor cooldowns. He's on only Gateway units, which means they're vulnerable despite the Archons. The EMP's getting involved. More Disruptors into the fight, reinforcing. Neither player able to get much done anywhere else on the map right now, as losing these complicated, expensive armies is probably one step before GG. Colossus, Templar, Liberator, ship weapons. The better and more expensive units being added in as the map gets more and more mined out. We're still far from actually exhausting the resources, but they're getting closer and closer together in terms of bases they have to take to make that happen. DTs slipping through, making anything that causes Clem to look away could be something that causes a Disruptor to land. Or just catching big chunks of the army. Here in the center of the map, Showtime finds an opportunity, blinks right into it. The DTs have to be chased. Clem dragged off the map. Showtime gains a supply lead. Knocks Clem down to a nice amount of SCVs, but he still has more than enough to keep his economy intact. The incomes have fluctuated back and forth despite the potential for mules, as scans are constantly gathering information, almost like map hacks for Terran. Phoenix is on the way to help deal with these Liberators. Do they have range? No, it's just in a... Wait, is that invulnerable to ground units? I can't believe it. He had to build a Stargate for that. Clem, you dirty, dirty Terran. Unfortunately, though, for that dirty, dirty Terran, the army just kind of slides in here without Clem realizing, and suddenly, how appropriately, he's forced into a base trade. Oh, lines up a shot and knocks out over almost 24 SCVs. Clem has no recall. When Showtime uses it, is going to define this game. The planetary and all the SCVs vulnerable. Showtime starting the base trade, so he does have the initiative and has a better opportunity to recover as well. Clem's going to have to get so much done so quickly. There's the actual risk of losing all the orbitals as well with DTs on the map. Another Bio Army. Targets one. We got to think about where the recalls can go now. Disruptors trying to break into the main. Clem reinforcing there. Clem ignoring the main and going for any potential economy. Orbitals being slaughtered. We've just taken this all the way to the infrastructure instead of dueling with the armies. They've just both decided we're going to try to murder everything and make this a chess game where the board is set and the pieces cannot be replaced. The recall is used. Much of the army. Showtime leaving enough to clear out the final base. The boys! The boys could kill this base. It's a real option, but a Disruptor targeted at the last second. The boys and a drop getting involved. Another Nexus. He has to fight, but can he win? Showtime makes his stand. And suddenly Clem is running out of places to mine from, whereas Showtime recalled to a well-defended base that has plenty of minerals and probes. Showtime may have made one move too many. And now Clem is becoming very limited on options. Clem has to try to isolate some of this army. That's his best chance here. There's is there even an orbital on the ground to scan? He has EMP, which is an option against the DTs, but there's not that many ghosts involved. The splash damage is minimal. He could easily stim. He lands for a scan! Oh, disruptors! Disruptors a little too close to the party! Colossus down for the count! Showtime! He went out on the map, and that's Clem's territory. Clem turns it around. He's only got 8 SCVs. Suddenly, Clem has an opportunity again. Showtime, step 2. Wait, those are... No, get out of there! Boys! Those are the last SCVs, I think. Clem has no mining, but he now has potentially the army. Showtime just needs to hold. Definitely got ahead of himself there. Another, you gotta be careful not to EMP yourself. He could EMP his own ghost, and that could be a disaster. Some more charge lots being warped in. Showtime doesn't have that much income himself, but he has any, and that's kind of an important point right now. Showtime doesn't have many more of... The orbital will! He's gonna go for the orbital! There's only 7 SCVs! Oh! That one wasn't actually... Yeah. The next one will be very dangerous. Clem doesn't have the luxury of time here. The DTs are trickling in. Even though we want to fight, the war is still going to be incredibly difficult if something doesn't change very soon. 1/6, 1/5, 4. And then he's down to essentially just ghosts for detection. The thing is, ghosts are good at almost everything. So here comes Showtime. EMPs on both flanks. There's only 1 Archon for splash damage. Those ghosts, wait a second. Showtime, these units aren't good enough. Where are the disruptors? He doesn't have any. The Nexus is gonna go down. He's gonna be down to 1. With it, a few probes, but Clem has 0 SCVs. He has 0 SCVs and 1 orbital. Wait, is that his only... That's his only base. How does it come to this? He doesn't have enough energy to blink. The DT's staying at close range. How does it come down to this? He has to EMP his own ghost. Showtime trickling in DTs. Not like this. Not like this. He has to scan. Clem working against the clock. Showtime desperately trying to find enough to warp in 1 more Dark Templar. The cannons are important. The shield battery. Oh, an EMP. That was his last one. That was his last EMP. He's targeting down cannons. Showtime, how does it come down to this? There's 1 more DT. There's no more scans. That DT has to go full Zeratul on this one. Oh, he doesn't have... Does he get the ghost? He got the ghost into the medevac. He's running around the Dark Templar. What a game. Another DT, though. He can't run forever, but he can fly. So, like, this is... How does this happen? Oh, another blink. On the chase! It's a campaign mission now! He's chasing the DT. Clem had enough to build more SCVs. It's 35! So evenly matched! What a game! He's chasing the DT he can't technically detect. Scan. No! He gets out! Oh, never has DT blink mattered more. Oh my god, he got him out! Oh no! Is there an NG bay? Yes, he could potentially build a turret if he had the minerals, which he doesn't because he needs to build. The blank. You can't EMP your own... You don't want to EMP your own orbital! The DT was so close, he's risking EMPing the orbital or the other ghosts. Another DT. Oh, he gets it! Knocks it out! Showtime is long distance mining. He's running out of minerals. The DTs are on they're so close. He's trying to dodge EMP with DT Blink. What am I watching? Oh, another, he chases it with the boosted medevacs, but he's out. Does he have a scan? There's more. No, G, Showtime. After hundreds, almost 100,000 resources lost, hundreds of zealots, hundreds of marines. It comes down to some Cape boys and a bit of blink. And that ties the series up. These guys are pretty good StarCraft players. I want to take this time. I never say this, but if you have any friends, I should say this more, but like, I truly, unfortunately, I'm a bit too cynical. And when a game just isn't that great, I let you know. It doesn't get much better. Alright? They don't play perfect, but there are almost no mistakes. There are missteps, there are decisions made that maybe should have been different, but there are not mistakes. So, if you... I know I'm talking to StarCraft fans, so it might be a limited demographic, but if you have any friends, family... I heard your mother's a fan, but maybe for different reasons. I don't know. I mean, with that micro... Share. Somewhere. I don't know where people... Twitter? Is it Twitter? Facebooks? I don't know about that one. Wherever people do. Anyways, game 3. Because, TVP... So, I was afraid I was going to watch another TVP. That was like many of the other TVPs. Sometimes matchups get into a place where you can kind of... I could cast 2/3 of games without actually seeing the game. Where it's like, oh, he's got a Reaper, and now he's going for a Widowmine drop, and now it's a tank push. Oh, the tank push didn't work, and it almost never does. And now he's going to sit in his base and eventually die to Storm. Not this time. That was one of the most... how perfect, too. And it made... Like, the base trade was not... They were both working off the best information they had. I think Showtime almost threw it away there. Like, Showtime underestimated the power of a bio-army. He underestimated the ability of Ghosts to turn the tide. Like, remember, Ghosts also attack. A lot of people just think of EMP and Snipe, but the Ghosts are actually great against Zealots. They have a bonus damage against Light, and they have 100 HP, which is almost double a Marine. So they aren't bad fighting units in and of themselves. So a lot of players will come in with charge lots, expecting to surround a bio-army, and then suddenly, well, guess what? Like, the Ghosts just kill all the Zealots on their own. They don't need to snipe, literally just the auto attack. And I think that was part of Showtime's miscalculation a couple times. Looks like we're going to have that tank push game, guys. Don't worry. Get back to basics here. With a Reaper into 1/1/1 into probably Widowmine drop. So at least I get some semblance. We need a little bit of time to recover. But oh my god. I've never seen, like, oh my... Clem is toying. Clem's Reaper Micro is probably the best in the world right now. Which, like, it's no longer the potentially game-winning factor that Beyond got it nerfed from. But... he just doesn't. He just is so much... He knows exactly... Did you know technically... Oh my god, Clem showing us that only very technically Reapers outrange Adepts. But they don't actually outrange it. It's just the attack animation is technically quicker for the Reaper. Which is not really a line you want to toe most of the time. But Clem showing us that it is one that exists. The Adept was trying to catch it. Clem not going to fall for that. But that is the most practical use of Blink DTs. Usually Blink DTs are like, aha, your planetary is dead. Or all the units. I've never seen someone use Blink DTs. I've never seen Blink DTs used in such a, like, relevant way. Without the Blink DTs, and specifically Blink, if they didn't have Blink in that last match, and we're going to have to talk about this match soon, I know. If they didn't have Blink, Clem may very well have won the game. Like, with 1 or 2 less scans or EMPs to have to use. Well, this is awkward. So much for that Widowmine drop. Make sure to de-tweet this stream. That actually just sounds like you removed a tweet. Cape Boys and High Templar shouldn't be allowed to merge. Actually, I've evolved on my views. It's now a whole new day in the Protoss hierarchy. Moving on. So the Widowmine drop was preempted by the Oracle out of Showtime, as the revelation did exactly what it's advertised as. It revealed that it is indeed a Widowmine drop, and now Clem feels uncomfortable with the whole idea. Leading with the Phoenix to absorb any Widowmines or even potentially Cyclone lock-ons. Adding a... Is this going to be Phoenix charge lot? Or is he going to go Blink? How safe does he feel? Oh, it's charge lot. Armor is for charge lots. Because charge lots are not big fans of subtlety. They're like, we're advanced Protoss warriors, and we're going to run really fast and try to beat them in the face with our fancy lightsabers. I mean, we can't say like Psy Blades. How did the Psy Blades work without the Kala? We're really angry, and we channel that. That's fair. That's fair. They do seem angry. Zealots are always yelling about something, which is impressive for beings without mouths. Meanwhile, charge is on the way. Templar Archive, they think really loudly. It's like a clickbait title, like, most epic Protoss versus Terran in the history of Starcraft 2! Right here! And I think we'll work from there. Like, technically I didn't say... Well, I did just say that out loud, but metaphorically I... What am I watching? What a game we're having. So despite looking like we were going to have the Widowmine drop in the follow-up, instead, Showtime preemptively countered him, so Clem did have to find another timing and a third. Wait, does he pull the voice? Does he scan and see the Templar archives? How much has he seen? He hasn't seen the Templar. You gotta scan before moving out, I think. To at least get an idea. There's not Storm, but there's Archons. The revelation. Showtime making full use of that oracle. I think Clem's kind of resigned himself. The only thing we're missing here to show that he's playing a later game is a Ghost Academy and or an Armory. Showtime is gaining vision around the map now, as he does so well. Oh. Clem, move a Widowmine. Move a Widowmine. Come on, you gotta at least try. Has anything died? Okay, one Hellion and one Reaper. I'm like, these guys just keep not actually committing to anything. Oh yeah, the Reaper scouted, and the Hellion is also a scout. So. Oh, wait a second. I see you. The Zealots will move in immediately. Oh my god, how perfect of a station. Widowmine scamper a little quicker than Marines walk. Oh. Wait, there's a mine. He's waiting. He's actually he saw the mine, and he dodges into the natural. Right as Clem wants to attack. He makes this more difficult. But, unfortunately, the reinforcements are enough. Here comes Clem. He's just kind of right up in here. It's a little awkward. I think they're both microing back in Clem's base right now. Uh-oh. Danger ball. Danger ball. Now, there's a lot of charge lots, but that's so much bio without the danger balls here. Just in time, by the way. Oh, triple kill on the Widowmines. The Widowmine's a big part of zoning out the charge lots. Oh, this is happening. Nope. No, you can't. You can lift them up. Nice timing, but you're going to push the front at the same time. The dance continues. A deadly dance. But a dance that must be danced. I have these splits and I must dance. I mean, come on. Clem just showing off a little bit with that one. It was the most obvious, but so hard to actually do. Like, you have to do it preemptively with that. Like, I don't think that was an intentional load up. Actually, what's in there? A Cyclone? Okay. Still working the corners here where Charge Lots and Archons with precious little range struggle to get to. Now, the thing he's been doing is zoning Showtime out of a 4th. He's playing a real positional style here. Just keeping Showtime busy. And he's denied the 4th. And here's Showtime, just completely unsuspecting. That 4th ain't happening. He's zoning more. He's got another army. Clem has yet to actually pick a fight, but he's continually threatened, poked, prodded. Hey, yo, hey, 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 hey. Hi, hi, hello, 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 in the main. The probes are vulnerable. The infrastructure, the medevacs, gonna be sacrificed for potentially the much greater good. And Clem has already replaced those units, killing 11 probes. Whittling down anything in the main. Where's the splash damage for Showtime? He's just getting dismantled. The +2 attack, and Showtime has upgrades. I mean, Clem has upgrades on the way. A scam, looking potentially. I think he thought it was DTs, maybe. And also any units coming in. Clem, I don't know how he finds a way to damage a player who's been turtling on less bases than him. But you move 1 step back, and he moves 2 steps forward. That's a lot of disruptors, but the problem with disruptors is they can only fire in one place at one time. Knock out a wave of mines, but Clem is choking out Showtime right now. I don't know any other way to describe it. Like, Showtime can't get out of his base, and he also can't really defend it. He can't get a 4th, and he can't get anything on the map. He needs to try something. He's got enough disruptors now to almost have always have a cooldown if he manages it right. He's catching a ton of he's doing a great job clearing mines. Gets a nice hit here. Clem is slacking a little bit on the right side. But Showtime is almost forced all in here. Showtime has managed to get a prism out on the map. Of course, there's another. We already know by this point, right? Showtime knows. Clem knows. Showtime can never commit his whole army in one place at one time. Another sim. There's no disruptors. Remember, he killed +2 attack. So now Clem has an upgrade advantage, which means without disruptors, these battles are going to go Clem's way. Just airballs it there. He needs disruptors just to keep Clem busy, and that was pretty busy. I don't know where Clem was looking, but he actually eats a hit there. But Clem moving in again. Like, eventually you mine out, and it doesn't take particularly long. Oh, the cooldowns. There's only one more cooldown. Clem waiting. He's right on the edge. If he targets a couple disruptors and gets out, slides to the right. Slides to the right. Take 2 steps. 2 cooldowns. Some decent hits for Showtime and a Warp Prism in the main. This is Showtime's best opportunity to break out and get a 4th. But is it too little and is it too late? Clem had some reinforcements, maybe enough. He's working to the 3rd. Clem targets down, immediately canceled. He gets the minerals back, which usually isn't a huge deal. Showtime has 2,200 gas. He needs potentially some Archons. The thing is, Archons have way less range than the men with their drugs and guns, which seems like a bit of a design flaw, but Showtime is starting to knock back some of these attacks, and he gets a disruptor hit, but look at the supply. Oh, whoa, 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 okay. It's just Disruptors, though. Okay, he does kill everything. He does kill every unit, but that means there's no disruptors here, and Clem's still working it for everything he's got. The medevacs, though, being targeted down Clem. He's got 4 bases, a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th command center. These men are all expendable. It's what they signed up for. He's got 3-3 on the way. The thing is, Showtime, all he's done is not die, which is a far cry from actually winning. Oh, liberation is at hand. Yeah, the hammer drops and the Liberators have range done, by the way. Clem has so many options, but from the menu he selected one of the strongest. He could have just kept hammering with bio units, and it probably would have worked. But it's time to close this one out. I don't see Showtime defending again. Oh, the Archons, not known for their maneuverability. He's now claimed most of the main. The disrupt. Oh, he's kind of just styling on him here. Like, the disruptors were fired too early. We've all been there. The Archons closed the distance, but Clem, the Venn diagram of liberty. And this one was not nearly as close. This was, again, much like Game 1. Clem hammering on Showtime until the wall finally fell. And he broke all the way through. A strong performance, putting Clem on match point. Yeah. Showtime. It's a little concerning. The only game he's won was that incredibly close, razor-thin DT blink margin. Like the smoke of the Shadow Stride, the only difference between victory and defeat. Whereas Clem's victories have been decisive, if not easy. So, oh, Jimmy says it's time for a quick a match point. We got to get our ads in. Quick advertisement, and I'll be right back. No skipping. Hey everybody, I know times are tough, but too bad. Did you know that Prime Gaming exists? And if Amazon hasn't shoved it down your proverbial throat, and if you're watching under our Google overlords on YouTube, like and subscribe and check out Prime Gaming. With Amazon Prime, you can get all the impulse buys delivered to your door, great shows like The Expanse, and also you can subscribe to me for free every month. And if you don't, it's essentially like losing money for me. So subscribe with Prime Gaming right now, or else. Jimmy, what the? Thank you guys for sticking around. Match point, Clem versus Showtime. One of, well, has featured, every game has been amazing. Either for Clem showcasing his incredibly flexible and relentless style. I think that's the word I want to use. I like that. Relentless. I mean, can we introduce again? In the bottom right, Liquid Clem. Never finds himself without a medevac. And of course, I don't think we've gotten the booster pack yet, but D Mauer, Showtime, the German Protoss. Unfortunately, usually outshined. It's definitely not that. Outshining, outshined. Ah, there we go. Outshined was technically right, but I just said it like a douchebag. By other very macro-heavy Protoss. Usually stats and occasionally players like Neeb. Stats definitely showing that macro defensive Protoss is very much on the menu still. And you don't all have to melt your brain in a vat in the sewers and do some sort of ritualistic sacrifice of your left hand, so that way you only play with a mouse and therefore go DTs every game, like Parting or Zest or something. Though that's still definitely an option. There's always been, more than anything else, like two different schools of Protoss. More than Terrans or Zergs, you have your YOLO toss. The players like SOS, who in a winner-take-all $100,000 tournament, I am Katowice, I want to say 2013, In Game 7, he proxy gated in his opponent's base. Like, balls so large that they almost certainly don't fit in the booth. And then you have Stats, who shows us that you can sit back for 10 minutes, defend attacks on all fronts, and just build the right unit composition, and that's 95% of the way to a championship. So, there's been, there's a big difference between Phoenix, the University of Phoenix and the Phoenix University. I'm sure Roddy could tell you the details. And so could a lot of the attendees and alumni of those. So, here we are. Twilight Council on the way. Starport, it's going to be a Widowmine drop. And this time, I think the drop will actually go off. He's not going to be zoned out by an Oracle right off the bat. And... whoa. And, there haven't been any crazy early game strats. It's all been something that feels like we don't see as much. Just because players have gotten so good at that early game. He spots one mine. Showtime looking for him. He now knows. And as soon as he sees the mines, slaps down a third. Because you know one thing? Mines have many things they're good at. But one thing even I will admit they're not great at is killing Nexi. So Showtime understanding that the mine drop not much of a threat to his ability to expand. Now, what is a threat is if he happens to lose a dozen probes to it because the probes decide to trip over each other despite not even having legs. That one could definitely hamper the potential defense of his third. Yeah, it's going to be a no on the drop, say the Stalkers. But Clem, not so easily. If you've learned nothing from this series, then this will be a surprise. But no one else is surprised. Of course, there's another medevac with another drop. This time it's mines. Because anything that can cause Showtime to look away for even half a second. You can tell what Clem's setting up for. Let's go to the Showtime action cam. He spots the drop. He moves in with the Stalkers already. I don't know if he spotted the first drop, but he's going to deal with this mine. Already preempting this. Attacks his own pylon. Doesn't notice that. Wait, is that intentional? There's no way that's intentional. Oh no, the drop in the main, though! Oh, he didn't see it. Oh, so hard to spot it. Clem manages. Do you see? No. Oh, guys. Oh, whoa. Okay, yeah, that was not. He almost killed his Robo Pylon and his Forge. He almost Artosis himself, which is quite a thing. I'm sure Artosis does that a couple times a stream, but it's just so hard to keep up with a well-managed set of drops from Terran. Even if you see it coming, they can maneuver them so quick, and Clem is potentially the best at it. Just knowing when you're looking one way and hitting the other. You can know if Showtime had perfect map vision at all times, Clem still might have won some of these games. It gets a little easier if you don't have to focus so much on replacing observers and constantly gaining vision. But the fact is, Clem just moves his units around so efficiently. It becomes nearly impossible to keep up. Even if you know where he's going. He's just so goddamn good at it. He makes it look pretty broken. And then you play against one or two disruptors on the ladder, and, well, tell me how that goes, my friends. Uh-oh. Charge ain't done, but that doesn't change the fact there's 4 Zealots back here. Clem coming in with a Widowmine drop preempted. Showtime handling it for now. The Widowmines will go off with minimal damage. Oh, the stop position! Oh, he turns it against him! How do you like it, you son of a bitch? Oh, I'm sorry. I got a little worked up. Anyways, 14 kills on those Widowmines, but SCVs this time around. Showtime turns the tides on the mines. And suddenly, Clem down to 38 workers at his own hand. He was trying to be too cute on the other side. He looked away. This time, Clem outplayed himself. Everything this game has been all Clem on all fronts. His Widow Mines have defined this match. Technically, wow. Friendly fire doesn't count in units lost. They're using new conglomerate statistics here. Okay, sure. I don't... Wow. We're not gonna see. Like, does that... It doesn't even count. They're just gone. They're just gone, and we... Like, he killed 14 SUVs. We saw it. It popped up, but it doesn't count in the stats. I don't... Oh, my. That's actually super interesting. Rarely does it become this relevant. Like, Banelings are an edge case like that, where Banelings, if they actually attack, even though they die, they don't count as units lost unless they die without activating their attack. Oh, no. Nice micro. But even a 3H... Oh. The probes handle it. So, if Clem hadn't been cut down by his own mines there, this would be kind of a dicey damage. Like, Showtime's been taking damage with minimal return like that. The Zealots themselves barely killed any SCVs. Clem microed them perfectly to counter the Zealots. Unfortunately. Showtime, yeah, if Clem had another dozen SCVs, he could back up this push with another set of medevacs, and you know how good he is with those. But unfortunately, his production hamstrung. His units cut off, or are they? Right now, Showtime geographically challenged with rocks in the center, though the Observer's in a great spot. He's gonna have... Oh my god, the little dances here. He eventually loses the ops, but not before whittling down the mine. Showtime he's looking to bludgeon Clem. He's looking to take all these Zealots and slam them over Clem's head. What are the upgrades? 1-1 on both sides. The sheer... Oh no, the Prism! Oh no, an uncharacteristic mistake. This is Showtime's almost his first time outright attacking Clem before 200 supply in this whole series. I guess the Blink Stalkers, but the Blink Stalkers are significantly different than a full-on 100 supply plus attack. Like, this is a mid-game attack. There's just not, like, the Bio Army does a lot of damage. There's not, the Archons can't get their tiny arms within range of the rest of the Bio. It's just not happening here. Oh, Force Field's a big threat right now. Clem's so good on those medevac pickups to evacuate, but... Another Prism. Showtime. You can't challenge Clem on his own terms. His own term. Microing these units. The ones on the screen. Mines, just get off the screen. Please. Either Marines, Marauders, and Medevacs. Showtime gave Clem the opportunity to micro those to his heart's content. That is a mistake. I think we can decisively say, with this series and everyone that came before it, that's a mistake. I'm not sure why Showtime wanted to really press the issue with that composition, but and maybe he thought he could end it. Maybe he thought he had dealt enough self-inflicted damage to Clem. But now Clem once again has the initiative. Showtime looking to steal that right back. And he didn't see the Prism. The Warpin at the edge of vision. Surprise. There are no Widow Mines in the main. Not after that. After the accident. There's a lot of safety regulations now in place. He's targeting the Nexus. The Zealots force a significant army to come back, which means Clem doesn't have an extra flank here. Showtime dragged back all of that supply. And that means now he has enough to bully Clem off the map. He has to retreat behind the choke point. Showtime's got to take down these rocks sometime soon. The reinforcements should be coming. Is he going to chase? Oh, the Templar. Storm is now complete. Jimmy, can I get a forecast? Yeah, okay, very clever. The storms are a huge part of this, just forcing the army back. Oh no, the Widow Mines are back in business. Not enough to kill the Warp Prism, another warping. Clem stretched pretty thin right now, and here we go again. Another massive macro game. Despite the best efforts of both players, or maybe because of them, we now find ourselves 4 bases for both sides. 2-2 upgrades coming up for Clem, 2-2 being filled in for Showtime. He hasn't found the space for that +3. Robo Bay, Ghost Academy, all the pieces of the puzzle we haven't yet filled in. Yes, I would like extra sides of, oh my god, medevacs for all for Clem. A policy only he can really make work. He just comes up 11 medevacs. Shield battery overcharged to try to save the Nexus. The Warp Prism. I think that was a Select All army. A bit of a panic there. And that is the kind of thing, if Showtime actually did have map hacks, it would help. Because Clem just ran straight out of his base after dealing with the drop into Showtime's third. And somehow, for only like 30 seconds, Showtime didn't have vision. And those 30 seconds equal 1 dead Nexus. He's taken 2 more. I mean, 2 more, including the one he lost. But 1 lapse from Showtime is at least a dead Nexus. And a couple of those can be the end of the series. Ghosts on the way. Enhanced shockwaves. Templar and Colossi together. Maxed out armies. Storm opens things up. A great split. There's not that much splash outside of the Storm. There's enough medevacs to potentially just eat the soul. Charge lots from the back, though. Making things much more complicated. Showtime on the chase. The medevacs aren't enough, and this time, it might be Clem copy to... No, you can't... Somebody... Kill the rocks! There was an observer there. Wow. The Canyon of Death. Oh, Colossus in from the left side. Storm's a little quick on the draw, probably queued up there. There's nothing else. Once again, once we get to 200 supply, they both seem to be unwilling to risk small portions of their army. Because if you don't have all your supply together, or at least the vast majority, well, imagine fighting either of these armies with 30 less supply. You lose, is what happens. That's what happens. You lose. Showtime has 83 probes, Clem at 72 SCVs, so that's a hearty chunk of the supply, and it should be at this stage. Widowmine. A Widowmine drop coming in. Showtime moves to intercept. Observer spotting all the armies. Showtime going to be a lot more ready than last time. The Widowmine drop. It depends on how quick Showtime is on the draw here. He knows. But there's a lot going on, and this is the real threat. Unfortunately, that means the Oh, he does move the probes away in time. The other one's on cooldown, and that means Clem a little slow on the micro back. The Colossi and the Archons and the front lines and the medevacs are out of energy. I don't know if he EMP'd them accidentally or if they've just been working that far overtime. I hope they're getting paid for it. But at this stage, the medevacs need to be repaired. Clem is beaten back on all sides. Showtime now has the army that could potentially be aggressive. Of course, against Clem, you always have to be careful. The SCV's actually repairing medevacs. Thank you, Clem. Another. It's a trend now. We're actually going to repair medevacs now. How exciting is that? No longer will medevacs take 4 stalker hits and then be permanently damaged. Alright, a Widowmine finds a good opportunity. Showtime actually micros back and he has enough probes. He's no Zest. It's not like Clem kills probes and those are permanent deaths. No, Showtime actually has a few too many, which isn't really that much of a problem when you're continually losing them as well. A bit of a nasty concave to move into. Snipes chasing the High Templar, gunning him down as they lag behind. But the Ghosts in turn going to be taken out. The Colossi burning through EMP's land. Across the board, reinforcements on the way. Vikings catching one. Disruptor taking the wrong path. And once again, the center. How often do you see matches focus on the center of the map? This is relatively rare, but they're so close and so back and forth. It's almost literally a tug of war between the rocks that no one's found the opportunity to take down. They've been helping Clem. The rocks at the center have been a geographical choke point. I mean, obviously, but more so than almost I've ever seen on this map. Because Showtime can never win a fight. If he wins a fight well enough, he wants to push the issue. If he loses a fight, he has to back off. So when the rocks finally fall, it's going to be a decisive action. Dustin Browder would finally be proud. Another drop towards it. Showtime almost casually has dropped 50 supply in these fights. He just keeps losing things. On all fronts, here comes Clem again. Looking for another hit, gets a snipe off. Disruptors dangerously in front, but shield batteries keep him intact. Ghost hit, drops knockback. Showtime strikes again. His own bases are well defended. Another disruptor shot, looking for something. Doesn't find much. A red health Archon is killed. You don't see that very often. The battles continue. Disruptors all on cooldown, but the charge lots, wow. Despite the game being at 18 minutes and both players being on 6 bases, somehow neither player has 3-3. Showtime is working his way there. He's got +3 armor, and he's working on +3 weapons. But Clem, well, he should have the space. That's actually a mistake now. He needs to get 3-3. Clem, you have 4 seconds to spare. Now's a good time for upgrades. Yeah, he agrees. Thank you, Clem. Oh, casual disruptor targeted down. Showtime moving the wrong way. Oh, but this disruptor buys a little bit of time, and the rest of the gateway units fill in the rest. Planetary in the top right as they're grabbing up the whole map relatively quickly here. The economies haven't really been broken. They've been almost dead even for the last 5 minutes, and they just keep getting larger. They're going to start mining out of their main, and oh, beautiful split. The disruptors, 1, 2, 3. They can still do damage, though. Well, all this is going on. Several disruptors targeted down, splitting and stimming, and so far he's winning. But Showtime warps in reinforcements. Here come some more Templar. I think the Archons are out of energy, but the Bio army is not. And by that I mean mostly the Medivacs. Good storms coming in from the northern side. Archons able to be merged, at least one of them. Another Templar targeted. Medivacs running low on energy. Meanwhile, nothing else happening on the map as they still try to win the tug of war. Blink Stalkers forced back because Stalkers are just terrible against anything that can fight back. +3 about to finish. 3-3 halfway done for Clem. He's adding on, I assume, Ghost Cloaking. Couple more Liberators. No Fusion Core as of yet for Liberator range. Main base dried up. Gas running out. Gas of the Natural's gone for almost both players. Showtime's main and Natural about to be completely mined out. And then the extraneous bases closer together and on different sides of the map are going to become the issue. The focal point of this aggression on both sides, or all sides. The Vikings on the deck, actually a great counter to probes with that extra mechanical damage. Gonna be forced to warp in. Showtime doesn't really have the gas to warp in anything Stalker-wise. The Liberator's out in front. Hard to deal with. You can't just send the Zealots. Meanwhile, Stalkers, the Vikings gonna... Okay, come on. Are you serious right now? Clem actually microing those Vikings. Showtime maintaining 75 probes, though. Which is okay. Not another base trade. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Oh, I mean, no, not again. At some point, they just happen to go by each other. And here we go again. Showtime is not maxed out, but he does have recall, and that mobility is super important. The Disruptors find their way back. There's a lot going on, which means the Disruptors finding huge hits, but Clem is able to dodge away. He drops on top, the recall out. He's trying to get the Ruptors away. He gets 2 out, and that could make the difference, but he did just use recall, which means now Clem is unchallenged as he goes Terran through the entire base. That recall was a snap decision, but it might have been the wrong one. +3 armor is about to finish. It could, that matters. That definitely, all the Liberators are caught. There's so much going on. So many things trying to go so many places. Clem just barely finishes 3-3 upgrades. So he's going to be even on this. The Disruptors are back for more. Showtime. Showtime. Oh, no. Oh, no. They wandered in. There's just too much, even for these guys. There's just so much. Liberators and Disruptors wandering into armies that they probably should know is there, but there's just so much happening right now. This usually, they say, never base trade a Terran, and there's a good reason for that. As Terrans don't need to maintain... Well, their buildings can fly. That's a good one. Medivacs also can fly, which is an important factor, especially when Clem is involved. But if you don't have any units, somehow the supplies are still nearly maxed out, despite all the damage that they've pounded into each other. There's still a decent probe and SCV count, and somehow the armies have all joined up. The Liberators will siege. There's not enough anti-air to really contend. The Medivac count is redonkulously high. 14 Medivacs with this bio army. The storms, the splits, the action just converges in the center again. How is this happening? There are still more Whittle Mines out on the map. They're looking to top the game 2 here with an even more... They're both still in a like the economy's in favor of Showtime. Showtime actually managed to bring everything together. Have you ever seen someone drain 14 medevacs of energy without just hitting the stim button so much they had to go to rehab? Well, Clem might be a little bit of both here, both quality and quantity on the stims, but a planetary. The storms are a massive threat, but he doesn't actually have any. He drops out the Templar, and as a surprise, like the threat of the Templar is more dangerous than the actual Templar right now. There's not enough energy for Storm. Liberator CG up on the other side. Clem pressing the issue. I think he saw the Templar. I don't know, the charge lots still holding. The Liberator's denying mining, forcing attention away at any part of the map. There are still mules potentially on the table, though I think scans are going to become important. Is there a Dark Shrine? There is no Dark Shrine. I'm actually super surprised that throughout all this, Showtime never found the space for a Dark Shrine. Does he still have... He still has a Twilight. Does he still has most of his important tech intact. Liberators. Range is not done. It's not started. He doesn't have a fusion core. Zealots going for the production lines. How are they maxed? Oh, Storm good, but is it good enough? These are just gateway units. He's bullying in. He has to go for everything. A Great Storm forces it back. I don't think that was another Storm. I don't think Clem expected that last one. He's helping him along with the medevac energy crisis, and by that I mean having any. Meanwhile, the Zealots are forcing some distraction, but Showtime not able to break Clem. I believe this base was his natural, but I'm not entirely convinced. I have no idea where the bases have come from. I know where Showtime's bases came from only because they can't fly. Here comes Clem again. Badly bruised and nearly out of energy medevacs. His army has precious little Marines in it. It's just Marauders, which just aren't that great against the charge lots. Here's a Raptor. I think there's still one Zealot intact. The battle continues. Another storm. Massive storm. And the Disruptor clears the mines. The Disruptor baits him into another one. Clem's army is starting to thin out. Where are the reinforcements? The Zealots have been dealt with. There's still mines in between the bases on the other side of the map. There's not that many SCVs to lose here. Templar out of energy. It's just a gateway army. So this is not an incredible army. Showtime still zoning, hold position, waiting for his opportunity. Medevac's so low on energy. He still has several more reinforcements. A couple mine hits, gonna thin out. He's going for the orbital. He's gonna get it. Denies another base of mining. 10 SCVs down, but he might choose this opportunity. There's one Disruptor shot. It matters so much. Clem, it airballs. No hits. No hits. Clem's on the chase. He pulls the boys. Clem dodges the Disruptor and forces Showtime back, and while 15 SCVs in an orbital go down, he has more to spare. Trading army for economy is a questionable decision at this stage, but there's no decision that cannot be questioned in a game like this. Showtime just giving up his base. I don't know. This Liberator has 5 kills. Showtime just gave up this base entirely. He loses every probe. It feels like that was a huge mistake. I don't know why Showtime just gave up entirely on defending. He wants to solidify in the bottom left, but at the same time, like, he didn't even evacuate the probes, which feels like Showtime's starting to crack here. That can't have been the best possible move there. But he's able to intercept Clem on his way back, and the medevacs are actually out in front, wandering into the storm. And here comes a splash tsunami from all sides, looking for more. Another hit, finds some ghosts, fade away, direct hit. And suddenly Clem knocked right back. Showtime making up for his mistakes in the top left and more. Clem, the barrage of splash damage, and suddenly there's no energy to heal and not enough units to make it even matter that much. He has to rebuild medevacs, no more Liberators. He lost a lot of ghosts. This mine drop, good luck, good night. Showtime, he makes up for his losses. I don't know if he made up for more than his losses. Remember, we can thank the Widow Mines in Clem's main for all of this. Showtime with the 2-tier creeping barrage-style assault against the Frenchmen. A classic tactic here. Another storm. Just zoning out. He's built up, he's kind of casually rebuilt some splash damage, and Clem just wasn't ready to contend. More SCV, not SCVs, Marines shaved off. Observers looking for map vision as the economies dwindle. They're close, but believe me, the income is much lower than the 3,000 or 4,000 they were looking at before. And every unit is starting to become more and more and more precious. Clem? Oh my god, the Marines dodged by dancing over the top of the Ruptors. Looking to target more. A bit of a dangerous position for Showtime to be in. He has recall, but his army's actually maybe a little too thick for it. There is one very, 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 very important High Templar. Yes, that many. That many varies. That High Templar is the only thing stopping Clem. Or at least the threat. If that Prism dies with no Templar on the field... Okay, this happened. I don't know what's happening here. Oh, there's an army. If that Prism dies, Clem jumps him. Speaking of jump, Widow Mines just sneak into the mineral lines. Showtime trying to isolate part of the army. No, not the Prism. Oh, Clem's gonna go now. Clem killed the Prism. Showtime surely was dealing with the Widow Mines at the back. The only splash damage is one Archon and the Disruptors. The choke point is devastating here. Fires a Disruptor shot. Clem casually walks past it. Does not care. Oh yeah, here's a base. Another not so great split. It's not a planetary though. Armies piling in from all sides. The Widow Mines seem like they've been dealt with. There's no more Ruptors. It's just gateway units. The medevacs have been replaced though. There's not a critical mass of bio. Now there is. Now there certainly is. The damage. Oh, the Archon's helping out so much, but the Archon no longer exists. Where did these Disruptors come from? The supplies dwindling towards... Oh, stop! Where did they come? They just keep coming in! Could have scripted it better! Another attack! There's almost no gateway units. The split is still too good. 18 SCVs go down. The storms from nowhere and everywhere hit everything but the bio army. Dwindles to almost nothing, but almost nothing is still far too much for the Stalkers. A medevac for every Marauder, a Marine for every medevac. A few storms, but the charge lot count is down to just a handful. A important handful, but a handful nonetheless. Are there DTs? No, he's warping in Zealots slowly off a pylon he happens to have. The worker count still very low. Ghosts are being rebuilt. So many have died. 20 ghosts. Let alone however many Disruptors. The storms are good. The energy on the medevacs is a real issue. He's zoning with Storm. The charge lots are in the precious little bases and mining that Clem still has. Everybody chill. Everybody chill. Okay, one sec. Oh no. Oh, it's a Marine. Okay, I thought it was a ghost. Oh my god, the ghost drop! He lands an EMP! There are no more Templar. He has to... Showtime's gotta get out. You gotta get out. He agrees. Okay. Those are too important to lose. Clem slides a ghost out with a medevac and recalls out his important units. Zealots. A zealot. I'm sorry. Back in one of Clem's only mining base and close to being the only potential mining base. Despite how many workers have died, the minerals are just gone on 2 bases on each side, and they're dwindling on 2 to 3 more. Clem has mined out of 3 bases. 4 bases are gone on minerals. Clem has lost 48,000 of 53, over 100,000 minerals. And 30,000, I don't know exactly. Each base has about 22k. Is the count. We rarely have to do that directive math. DTs and Disruptors, the double Ds of disaster for a unprepared Terran. But Clem is somewhat prepared. He's pretty good at that. This is optimistic from Showtime. If he gets away with it, who knows? But Showtime trying to box out. Somehow the armies are still comparable. If a Disruptor lands or the EMPs hit too far across the board, then the game kind of just ends. But guess what? Oh, the Ghost Drop trying to counter this medevac. Blink in, things escalating. Archon merging. How much energy? Is there enough energy for EMPs? He doesn't know. Technically, there could be more ghosts in the medevacs now. It works both ways. This Nexus was optimistic from the very start. Dark Shrine is about to finish, and the Dark Shrine, remember, is what turned the whole tide in Game 2. I can't believe we're referencing that only 2 games later. It's still match point. If Clem wins, it's over. If Showtime wins, we got a whole nother game. Units incredibly precious now. Even Marines. As the incomes have gone from several thousand to barely over 1. As the mineral patches can be counted on hands and toes. Which is a weird way to do it. Showtime has a smaller but very strong army, as is customary for Protoss, whereas Clem is still working the bio for everything it's worth and then somehow juicing it for more. 1 DT, oh my. Well, this is oh, the DT going to work. And anything that distracts Clem for any amount of time. The threat of storm is massive, and the storms themselves are even worse. But the Warp Prism dies. He does get some ghosts. The Blink Stalkers are able to jump on this opportunity. There's not a critical mass of bio until the reinforcements have arrived. Disruptor shot. Make it... Yeah, that was never going to happen. Looking for more. The ghosts are gone, though. The EMPs have... And just damage soften up the Archons. There's another... Oh, great storm. But the medevacs heal a lot more. Clem down in supply for the first time in quite a while. Showtime still mining, but he's mining out as well. There's only one mining base, effectively, for both players in terms of mineral patches. How many minerals? 500, 500. Over here, 100. Clem has about 500 on these bases. Sure, he has mules, but there's a finite amount of resources that we rarely talk about. More storms. There's enough storms to stagger. These 6 probes died to what? A Widow Mine somewhere, I think. The ghosts... The most minimalist dodge, snipes, have longer range than EMP and less risk. He snipes out one. He can snipe Zealots and he snipes another Templar. It will cost him the ghost. But if there, at some point, there's no more disruptors, Archons don't count as splash damage against Clem. Against almost anyone else, yes. But against Clem, no. The Marauders can definitely weather a storm. Like, the medevacs themselves are getting kind of low. Many of them within half a storm away from death. The main base has been lifted a long time ago. The natural, who knows where any of these bases started. At this stage, it's nearly even on supply. They're both at 34 workers. And they're both at about a couple dozen mineral patches. Well, actually, one base that is a glaring difference here. Well, it's the direct north, like the 12 o'clock and the 6 o'clock bases, where that's where players have mined from somewhat. Actually, this is entirely fresh from Clem. This is a completely fresh base. No one's really mined from it, which is not, at least not for long. It's about as fresh as it's gonna get. DT's becoming a threat again. Just like Game 2, as there's pressure. Like, he has next to no... How did he only get 1 Marauder? Oh, the feedbacks! Showtime putting on his robe and wizard hat and launching every spell he can. Widowmine's finding an opportunity. There's no more mineral patches and all, and we're running low on gas. The duel is 36 minutes, and we're still not that, like, it's unclear. We are both 10 seconds and potentially an hour away from a conclusion with the way these two are playing. The game could just end at any moment. A fight could go sideways for either. Oh my god, the Ruptor flank. I don't even think it was intentional. Neither does Clem. He just kills it. Oh, Showtime. I think he was trying to set something up, but instead he may have set up his own disaster. The EMP hit a lot of the Templar. He has so many Templar. Right now his army is 7 Zealots, 3 Archons, 7 Stalkers, and 6 Templar. Clem has so much supply of bio. Oh, but storms! And we do have to think about medevac energy. Yes, it is a real issue for someone. Like, they're under 1,000 minerals a minute. Showtime especially. This base... Showtime has to think about actually cracking it here. If he could force an issue on this base... Oh, there's Cloak for Ghost now. I think Showtime actually spotted the Cloak. And now he's building an Observer. Yeah, he's backing off so far because he has no Observers. He might be giving away that fact, though. Well, the cloak, actually, every time you activate the cloak, though, it costs energy, which means there might not be enough energy for EMP. That one goes so precious. A disruptor fade away. Exactly. Oh, a storm. Down to 2 ghosts and more getting involved. EMP is dancing back and forth. Scans are precious as well. DTs are still an option. Showtime running out of mineral patch. He has 1 patch left. No, Showtime. Whoa. Showtime's out of minerals. He's not mine. That's it. That's all his probes. Like, Clem has scanned this. He knows. That's every probe. He has no mining. Uh-oh. This is a problem. Showtime! How many Templar? Clem's closing in. He realizes he's on the precipice of victory, and while he doesn't want to step too far, there's also prices to be paid if he doesn't step far enough. Clem, after 38 minutes and everything before it comes through in a game that kind of, at the end, dwindled. Not in excitement, but in just everything. Clem holds on. It felt like Showtime just didn't have the stamina to keep up. Not a stat we usually refer to in StarCraft, but Clem able to stay on top of the ghosts, the medevacs, the micro. Showtime keeping up, but not getting ahead. He relied on the few mistakes Clem made, and Clem showing why he is the favorite, and showing why he's a contender for the best Terran in the world, for sure. I don't know if he's quite there. I don't know who I'd put on that pedestal. But if you're looking for someone, I think he's earned a good shot at it. If you agree, like, subscribe. I mean, probably already left a comment or something, but share. That was, in fact, like a series full of essentially no mistakes. Maybe bad decisions, but a mistake is like, I just didn't see a Widowmine drop. Unforced errors, like they'd have in the world's most boring sport, baseball. But not really throwing, just a matter of seconds, of centimeters, of just literally like one disruptor shot or EMP from turning everything in a completely different direction so much. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck. Have fun. Stay tuned.